You know something strange happens as you get older, and nobody really prepares you for it. When you are in your 20s, your life feels crowded. Crowded with people, crowded with voices, crowded with laughter. Your phone is always buzzing, someone is always calling, someone always wants to go somewhere, do something, celebrate something. Birthdays, road trips, late-night drives, cheap food at 2 a.m., conversations that last until the sun comes up. Back then, if someone had asked me how many friends I had, I probably would have laughed and said, too many to count. But if I'm being honest, it was probably close to 100. Now I'm sitting here years later, looking around at the quiet, and the truth is something nobody tells you when you're young. Today I have 0. Not 100, not 10, not even 5. 0. And before you start feeling sorry for me, let me tell you something important. I'm not sad about it anymore. Because it took me a long time to understand something most people don't realize until very late in life. What we call friends in our 20s are often just passengers. People riding the same bus for a little while. And when the bus changes direction, they get off. Back in my 20s, life was loud. Every weekend there was a plan. Friday night meant someone texting, "Where are we going tonight?" Saturday meant a group photo somewhere. Everyone smiling like the world belonged to us. Sunday meant someone nursing a headache while we laughed about the stupid things we did the night before. We thought those moments would last forever. We really believed that the people sitting around that table would always be there. We talked about the future like it was a guaranteed promise. When we're older, we'll still be hanging out like this. We said that all the time. We believed it too. But life doesn't care about those promises, because somewhere between your 20s and your 30s, things start to change quietly. Someone gets a job in another city. Someone gets married. Someone starts a family. Someone becomes too busy. Someone decides they don't like the person you're becoming. And slowly, without any big dramatic ending, people start disappearing from your life. Not all at once, just little by little. At first, it doesn't seem like much. One friend cancels plans more often. Another stops replying to messages as quickly. Someone else moves away and promises to stay in touch. "Don't worry," they say. "We'll talk all the time." You believe them. But the truth is, distance doesn't just stretch miles between people. It stretches attention. It stretches priorities. And eventually, the connection thins out like an old rope. Then comes your 30s. Your phone still rings sometimes, but not like it used to. Conversations get shorter. Plans get harder to schedule. Everybody is busy. And you start to realize something uncomfortable. The people you once saw every day, you now see once a year. Then once every few years. Then not at all. And here's the strange part. There's no big argument, no betrayal, no dramatic ending, just silence. People fade out of your life the way daylight fades into night, slowly enough that you barely notice it happening until the room is completely dark. I remember one moment very clearly. It was my birthday. In my 20s, birthdays were events, huge gatherings, music, food, people everywhere. Someone always shouting, someone always laughing. But this birthday was different. I woke up, checked my phone, and saw a couple of short messages. "Happy birthday, bro. Hope you're doing well." That was it. No calls, no plans, no noise. Just a quiet room and a phone that wasn't ringing. And for a moment, I sat there wondering what happened to all those people who once filled my life. Where did they go? The answer is simple, but it's also hard to accept. They didn't disappear. Life simply moved everyone in different directions. And once I understood that, something inside me shifted. See, when we're young, we believe friendships are permanent. We think if someone laughs with us, shares memories with us, spends enough time with us, then that bond will last forever. But most friendships aren't built for forever. They are built for seasons. Think about school. When you were there, it felt like the friends around you would always be part of your life. But after graduation, everyone scattered like birds leaving a tree. The same thing happens with jobs, neighborhoods, hobbies, even stages of life. People come together because their lives overlap for a while. But when the overlap disappears, The relationship often does too. And that realization can hurt. It can make you feel like the memories meant more to you than they did to them. But that's not always true. Sometimes the memories meant exactly the same to them. They just moved forward. And so did you. There's another truth I learned the hard way. Some people are only your friend when life is easy, when you're fun to be around, when you're going out, laughing, spending money, celebrating. But the moment life gets heavy, those people vanish. You lose your job, you go through heartbreak, you face real struggles, and suddenly the crowd gets very small. That's when you start seeing the difference between people who enjoy your company and people who actually care about your life. In my 20s, I thought I had 100 friends. In reality, I had 100 companions. There's a difference. Companions share moments. Real friends share burdens. But here's the twist that took me years to understand. Losing those friendships wasn't the tragedy I thought it was. It was actually a kind of awakening, because when the noise fades away, you start hearing something you couldn't hear before. Your own life, your own thoughts, your own direction. When you have 100 friends, it's easy to lose yourself trying to keep everyone happy, trying to be part of every plan, every conversation, every event. But when the crowd disappears, something interesting happens. You finally meet the person you've been ignoring the whole time, yourself. And that meeting can be uncomfortable, because without the distractions, you start asking questions you avoided before. What do I really want? What kind of life am I building? Who am I when nobody is watching? Those questions are scary, but they are also the beginning of wisdom. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying friendships don't matter. They absolutely do. Human beings need connection. We need laughter, conversations, shared experiences. But the older I get, the more I realize something important. Quality beats quantity every single time. One real friend who shows up when life falls apart is worth more than 50 people who only show up when life is a party. And sometimes, if you're really honest with yourself, you'll realize that the person who has been there through everything is you. You survived every hard day. You carried yourself through every disappointment. You rebuilt your life after every loss. That's something worth respecting. Now, when I look back at my 20s, I don't feel bitterness. I feel gratitude. Those friendships gave me memories that still make me smile. Late-night conversations, road trips with no destination, laughing until we couldn't breathe. Those moments mattered. They were real. They just weren't permanent. And that's okay. Because life isn't meant to be frozen in one moment forever. It's meant to move. People enter your life, teach you something, share a chapter, and then continue on their path. The mistake we make is believing they were supposed to stay for the entire story. Most of them were only meant for a few pages. And once you accept that, you stop chasing people who have already moved on. You stop sending messages to people who stopped replying years ago. You stop trying to revive friendships that naturally ended. Instead, you start focusing on something far more important. Building a life that feels meaningful even when the room is quiet. You learn to enjoy your own company. You start doing things not because a group wants to do them, but because you genuinely want to. You travel alone. You learn new skills. You explore ideas you never had time for when life was crowded. And strangely enough, that's when life starts feeling deeper. Not louder, but deeper. And sometimes when you stop chasing old connections, something unexpected happens. New people enter your life. Not dozens, not hundreds, just a few. But these connections feel different. They're calmer, more honest. Less about entertainment, more about understanding. Because by the time you reach this stage of life, you don't need a crowd anymore. You need authenticity. You need people who show up not because it's convenient, but because it matters. So yes, in my 20s I had 100 friends. Now I have 0. But the truth is, that number doesn't define my life. Because friendships aren't measured by how many people once sat at your table. They're measured by the meaning those moments brought to your journey. And if there's one lesson I want you to take from this, it's this. Don't panic when the crowd gets smaller. It's not always a loss. Sometimes it's life clearing space so you can finally see what truly belongs in your world. And once you understand that, the silence stops feeling lonely. It starts feeling peaceful.